what do you think the best strategy is to help end this crisis?
Right. Well, we take a two major pronged approach. Number one is humanitarian. We have launched our
food and medical care, right?
And we are doing that. We will be going in June with a 40-foot container. The other is advocacy, meaning that now the U.S. government, which has been the strongest government on this issue, has what they call Plan B in abeyance. They go into Plan B means they're going to do a no-fly zone, mean that they're going to put more restriction on personal travel. They're going to increase the number of corporations that they're going to persuade to
disinvest.
That's right, to divest. And they're going to put additional, what might be called moral pressure on the Sudanese government. So that's the U.S. position. That's the strongest position. On a military side, a peacekeeping side, the UN has called for 22,500 peacekeeping people. The AU has supplied 7,000, which was obviously insufficient. So we believe that there need to be a greater peacekeeping force there, and that the African countries need to invest more, but surely put more people on the ground there. The Sudanese government has expressed reservations of having too many outside troops there.
Why? What is the basis of their reservation?
They believe that a part of the concern of for Darfur isn't about people being concerned for Africans, because, let's face it, Africans are being killed all over the place, but that it is a U.S. Zionist, their words, Zionist collaboration to take control of the oil, to get control of the land, that if their forces come in there, they're not going to leave. So, and then if they stay, then they want to get the hold of the oil and the other minerals, right? So they point to the fact that the largest groups in America that is really pushing the issue emanates from the Jewish community.
To what extent is there some possibility of truth in that?
Well, it may be. Let's face it, it may be some truth there. Obviously, the USA must have its own interests. It's hard to believe they're driven by altruistic purposes alone. Surely within the Jewish interest and tied to the international continuing tension of Arab, Muslim, Jews, etc. So it may be. The argument, put it this way, the argument has some force to it because of contemporary history, contemporary development and past history. Our position is, and that's one of the reasons that we formed and made it very clear, national religious leaders of African ancestry.
Right.
Now, we have worked with rabbis, we have worked with imams, and I should point out, too, that in my conversation with the Darfurian leadership, the rebel leaders, they were quite clear and very, very forceful in expressing gratitude to the Jewish community and to the U.S. government. They were disappointed, almost to tears, and I was sitting on the rug, talking as this leader, Ibrahim of Jan, was talking, and almost very emotionally, he was expressing regret and disappointment that he had not received support from the Muslim community, that no Arab nation had supported them, the Muslim community had not supported them, and therefore the primary source of the support emanated from Christians, Jews, the USA, and they were very, very grateful for that.
This goes back to that Islamicization of that region.
Right.
And that is one of the cultural forces that is driving this. Now, when you confront the Sudanese government about this, what is their rationale for doing what they're doing?
Well, they claim that there is some resistance. Well, first of all, they used to claim we had nothing to do with it. These militias on their own, and we have none. we've not supported them, but when it had been demonstrated that they had been supporting them, well, it's because the people are resisting, and they had to put down...
Resisting this Islamicization?
Yeah, resisting the Janjaweed. They were resisting trying to get more power. They were resisting the Arabs, the Janjaweeds, as they were invading their villages. And so they being Arabs, Sudanese government is Arab in addition to being Muslim, so the Janjaweeds are Arabs in addition to being Muslims. So they felt, at least according to the argument they put forward, that they had to support these people. And they claim that there have been some injustices, as they say. 9,000 people have been killed, and that has been their position. Now, what I say to people, I said, listen, the point is, number one, is the Daughtry leadership thank the Jewish community, Christian community, rabbis, imams, those that are supporting them, U.S. government. And we should understand that, because if you had a snake wrapped around your neck, choking the breath out of your body, and somebody 10 yards away in safety says to you, don't let that person help you, because they want to get your money out of your back pocket. You know, I mean, your position would be, listen, I don't care what they want to get out of my back pocket. If they propose it to help get the snake off my neck, I'll deal with whether or not they want my money or not. So people standing over there in safety saying, be suspicious of the U.S. government, be suspicious of the Jews, be suspicious of the Christians, be suspicious of all these white folks who want to help you. And the position is, listen, we need help.
Now, what is the position of the UN?
Yeah, the UN, in fact, good question, because just recently the UN has indicated that there were about 50 persons that they have identified as being, that they want to charge with war crimes, crimes against humanity. The ICC, the International Criminal Court in Hague, has identified at least 2 persons in the Sudanese government. The Sudanese government has said they will not give them up. I happen to have been on a walk, a 150-mile walk from Brussels, Belgium, to Hague, the Netherlands. With that, one of the objectives was to encourage the ICC to speed up the process. I didn't go all the way. I started and I returned. But we were pleased when the ICC said that they would speed up the process, and they have. So the UN's position is that it is a humanitarian crisis. They are war crimes, crimes against humanity that have been committed, that these people should be brought to justice. The UN's position is that there need to be a sufficient peacekeeping force in Sudan.
What about economic sanctions?
Well, that is in the American plan too. I think that was number 4, is that to apply vigorous economic sanctions across the board. In fact, what we have argued is that they were eager to do that against North Korea and other places, Iran and wherever else. So why not? Why not apply?
What's the argument against doing that?
That you'll be hurting the people. You know, the same argument we had in the
apartheid
days. You know, let's not do this economic sanction against the apartheid regime. You'll be hurting the South.
But to what extent do you think they might work? I don't know the nature of the economy other than the oil and the minerals. If, for example, they boycotted Sudanese oil and put a limit on the minerals, would that really have an effect on the Sudanese people, or would it just have an effect on the elites? Well,
I think it would have an impact. Surely it would have an impact. But the people that I know, including the leadership, the Daughtry leadership, is that they're already suffering. So, well, I mean, not just the Darfurians. What about the rest of the Sudanese people? Would it have an impact on? Yes. The idea behind political, economic pressure is to bring them to political pressure. That's right. So you can say, well, look, you have to do something about the cause of this. Right. Right. To what extent? I know you probably didn't get a chance to talk to too many Sudanese who are not Darfurians. Right. But to what extent do you think the ordinary
Sudanese citizen is aware of this and is concerned?
I think from the Sudanese that I have talked to, both in this country and abroad, they are primarily supportive of the government.
Why?
Well, because they are Muslims and they are Arabs, and they feel that the U.S. government is flexing its muscle, and that again it's a Jewish, you know, that the U.S. and Jewish collaboration are trying to choke their country to keep it from really developing. That's
is there some feeling that if the Darfurians had some freedom, that they would take over other parts of Sudan? Or is it just a religious belief that some people have about spreading Islam?
Well, I'm not sure I'm not sure to what extent that question is being raised. Mm-hmm. From the Darfurians that I talk to, all they want is to own homeland. They just want the freedom within the western part of Sudan. And the land question to be returned to their home. That was one of the reasons.
Does that have an economic? If they had their own area, would they have a sufficient economy to survive and have health care and food?
I think so. And what they want, as I understand it, is not separation from the Sudanese government, but more cooperation, more empowerment. They feel marginalized now and driven out of their land. So what they want is to have something similar to what is happening in the South. In the South, as I mentioned, John Granger was able to win the concessions that the South has its own president. That president is vice president in the central government. And in 2011, the people will decide whether they want to be completely independent or to what extent they want to be a part of the central government.
If they're completely independent, they'll be an independent nation.
That's right.
That would seem to be the fear that the Sudanese government have about Darfur. They don't want another nation on their border.
Yeah.
Particularly another nation that may not be friendly both from a religious and an economic standpoint.
And that is true. Yes, that is.
Now, what can we in the African-American community here in the United States do?
All right. Number one, on the humanitarian support side, we were there. We took, had several hundred T-shirts that we gave out, and they were grabbing, the children were grabbing. And one of the requests the children were making, they said, next time you come, please bring us some shoes. Mm-hmm. You know, and I looked across the camp, and everybody was barefeet. But I mean, so have I. Coming out of Georgia, we used to be barefeet all the time. But at least we knew there were shoes back home at the house. So I think there's a humanitarian support side. I think the advocacy support. I think that all of us who have influence within government, no governmental officials, is continue to talk to them, that the U.S. got to continue to take the leadership on this. It's a good cause, and they should continue to take the leadership on this. I think that we should continue to organize. One of the things that the Sudanese government alarmed about, and what makes our organizations important, is that they can't bring those allegations against us. Mm-hmm. They may be raping my grandmama over there. Mm-hmm. They may be killing my uncle over there. So they, I understand, in the governmental circles, have expressed profound concern that now the civil rights movement leaders were getting involved. That's one of the reasons that we did a civil disobedience on Martin Luther King Jr. birthday at the Sudanese mission, because they know that they can accuse us of an international conspiracy or whatever.
Well, clearly, as we come to the close of this very wonderful discussion about Darfur, the leadership of Reverend Herbert Daughtry and the many other advocates in the black religious community is very, very important.
Right. And
clearly, is there any place where anyone could go to the internet to get more information about this?
Yes, you can www.holnj.org. That's
okay, we'll put that on the screen.
Okay.
I want to thank Reverend Herbert Daughtry, House of the Lord Church, for talking about this crisis in Darfur today. Thanks very much, Herbert.
Right, good. Thank you.